How's it going, guys? This is going to be a quick unboxing and assembly of my new Kuat Sherpa 2.0 bike rack. I've been doing a lot of research lately on different bike racks and tried to figure out what was going to give me the most bang for my buck when investing into a new rack that hopefully will last me for a long time. The reason I decided to go with the Sherpa 2.0 was because I borrowed one of my buddy's bike racks. He has a Thule platform or tray style bike rack, and I was really impressed with how it secured the bike onto the rack. And also I have a 2-inch receiver hitch, and having the 1.25 adapter of my previous bike rack just wasn't doing it. As I'm going through the box, you'll notice it has instructions in it. You'll notice later in the video that it's probably a good idea to look at those instructions, otherwise you're going to end up making the same mistake I made and having to reassemble things. So I've got no problem throwing out my mistake here for everybody else to watch and have a good chuckle at, but whenever you're assembling it, probably a good idea to keep an eye on the instructions. So you'll notice that the way that this rack is packaged, everything, all the arms and the base are completely wrapped in foam, which is a nice change of pace. My previous racks have all been used, and they're all beat up and torn to shreds by the time I get to them with paint chips and rust and all that. So it's kind of nice seeing something different, something that's brand new. I'm going to try and keep it as new as possible for as long as possible. Inside this smaller box of goodies, you'll find these 2 securing Velcro straps. If you ride a fat tire bike, you'll probably need to throw these straps on there just to make sure it doesn't pop loose. Notice that was the cable lock, which I'll cover in my next video. You got these 2 extended long screws, and they're basically the pins that run from the back of the bike rack closest to the vehicle all the way through the arms to kind of secure everything together. Here's the very nice foot and hand release to change the position on the rack, to stow it or drop it down. And then this is going to be the rear bracket or plate where the 2 long pin screws are going to be extended through the main portion of the bike rack. And as I move into opening up this little burlap sack, it's where you start getting into some of the kind of fit and finish of the packaging here with the Kuat brand. They don't just send you the basic stuff, they actually go above and beyond to give you real tools that you can use to assemble your rack. So even if you don't have tools at your place, you're going to be able to assemble this when it arrives. You get everything you need to assemble your rack in the package itself. Notice it's not just a sheet metal wrench that's punched out of a piece of sheet metal. You actually get a real wrench. Inside this bag, you're going to have your locking pin and your keys. And then you've got this screw, which is going to be the center post screw that runs through the back plate to keep everything snug and secure, so the bike rack won't fall apart on you when you're driving down the road. So you just kind of lay everything out for you so you can kind of see everything that you get in the packaging. It's going to be everything you need. One of the things I like the most is this little dust cap. It's not just a hard plastic dust cap, it's rubberized and it just kind of fits around to keep the dust off the locking mechanism so that it doesn't seize up on you after leaving it on the vehicle for a while. And notice the hitch pin has built-in tools, so if you need to make adjustments when you're on the road, you have the tools you need right there with you. Me being a beer drinker, I always enjoy getting another bottle opener. Not going to argue about that one bit. And I get the benefit of 3 keys coming with this bike rack, because inevitably I'm going to lose 1 or 2 or probably all 3 of them at some point. And that's actually the issue I ran into when I was removing my last bike rack and lost the keys for that hitch lock. So here you see the dust cap. It's nice soft rubber. It just pops on there and it's going to keep that secure. The neat feature with this lock is that when you put it on the hitch pin, you don't have to lock and unlock it when you're putting it on. You just simply push it onto the hitch pin. It just pops into place and automatically locks itself. So it saves you a little bit of time. The finish on the rack itself, it's kind of gunmetal gray. It looks gorgeous. It's got a nice sheen to it. I'm a big fan of matte finish, but with this being clear coated the way that it is, it's going to give it a lot of life. It's not going to be as prone to rusting. So I'm actually pretty happy with the finish on the parts themselves. And that theme is going to carry on throughout the rack, as you'll see that I've got the gunmetal rack with it's orange anodized metal. This cable lock system, I'll talk more about that in my next video where I'm actually fitting it on the vehicle and talking about the features, but I'm actually really excited about that lock and cable system. And then here I'm just giving you a quick look at all the contents of the bike rack system that come with it. You'll notice that each of the arms and the bases are packaged in this nice foam wrap. I got the rack. It has no scratches on it, no dents, dings, nothing wrong with the paint. I did notice, and I'll show you here in just a second once I get it unwrapped, that there was a odd spill of some sort that had dried on one of the arms, and not really sure what it was, but it wiped off fine, so nothing wrong with that. Another feature to keep in mind is that whenever you're starting to build the rack, keep the box the way that it is. It has a nice base to it to where you can actually assemble everything in the cardboard stand that it's sitting in right now. So you'll basically just set the arms on the front and back of the connecting pieces there for the center of the rack. You're just going to run the pin through everything as it sits. So you'll see that here in just a second. But I'll give you a quick close-up of this arm, including the paint, so you can see what it looks like up close. And you'll notice that they put the nice protective tape on all the pieces, anything that would be prone to scratching in shipment. So you can see the gorgeous orange color, and here I'm nice enough to point out that weird spill. I'm not sure what the heck it is, but I don't know if I even want to know, but it wiped off, so no problem there. Personally, I think the orange and gray is gorgeous, but depending on the color of your vehicle, they also have black or silver options that you can go with. Okay, now looking at assembling the rack, it will immediately become apparent to anyone who's paying attention right now that as I move the arms over, I don't have them positioned correctly, and right there on the rear arm, I put the front bike cup on the same side as the front bike cup for the outside arm, which is not correct. So you guys get to learn from me. I got no problem throwing this out there and letting people see my mistakes. Pay attention to your instructions, kids. It'll save you some time. So I went ahead and filmed the rest of the installation here, and I figured, heck, I'm still going to use it. At the end of the video, I go back and I correct my mistake. So you'll get to see it in the put together in the correct way. But on the back of the arm, it's where the majority of the assembly is going to take place. You're going to have those two center pins that run all the way through the center post. Those are going to be tightened into place. I just kind of snugged them up so that everything was held together, and then I ran the lower screw through that back plate, and that kind of locks the back plate in place so that there's no way that the screws can come loose and drop your bikes whenever you have it in transport. So basically, I alternated between the two. I put the center screws in, then I put that support screw in, and then I just alternated tightening back and forth between the two until I got them snugged up. I don't show the entire process of tightening them because it took a little bit. They're long screws. At this point, you go to attach the foot release. It's a foot and hand release. I'll show that in the next video, but it's a nice little feature. Makes it easy to raise and lower the bike rack into place, and then it also allows you to drop it down if you need access to your back gate or tailgate, depending on what you're hitching to. So you get that screwed in with the provided hex wrench. The end of it is obviously rounded so that it's easier just to spin the thing into place to get it snugged up. Once you get that on there, that's basically your entire rack built. And that's also the point that I realized that I had placed the back arm on incorrectly, so that it was going to get in the way of the hitch arm whenever I would put it in the stowed position. Okay, so now that I have taken everything back apart to correct the mistake, you'll notice that I'm pointing out that the arm is supposed to be on the inside here. Once you do that, then that's going to position the bike so that when you have a bike on the front and back of the rack, the handlebars are on the correct sides. It'll also allow you to lift the rack up into the stowed position without the arm impacting into the hitch arm where it goes into the receiver. One thing to note here is that I've removed all of the cardboard and foam from inside the box stand that you're assembling it on, and in doing that, it makes it easier to actually spin the bolt into place using the supplied wrenches, which you'll see in just a second here when I tighten those down. One of the main reasons that I wanted to go with a tray or platform style bike rack is that I'm not a big fan of hanging my bike onto a rack and then
strapping the frame onto the rack with those rubber chain straps, and then the bike itself has a little bit of play. Inevitably that scratches the frame. Just overall it is not a good design. In using my friend's platform style Thule, I realized how much better that system functions. It keeps all the stress off the frame. You're just ratcheting down onto the tires and wheels, and it secures the bike in a much better way. Just an overall better design in my opinion, and keeps the frame of the bike from getting damaged. So here's a overall view of the rack after it's assembled. And if you liked the video, please give me a like, and I'm going to throw in a link here for the vehicle installation as well as the features of the rack. Thank you for watching.